Hi again, welcome back. It's good to have you here. We're going to talk about helping a dyslexic child with their written skills. Well, it's important to clarify what our goal is here. Our goal is to help your child write good sentences and good paragraphs. We don't want to focus on the spelling and we don't want to focus on the handwriting, and here's why. If we focus on the spelling, your child is going to slow down and get all focused on spelling instead of how to write good sentences. If we focus on the handwriting, your child's going to slow down and they're going to try and get their handwriting correct because they want your approval. Spelling and handwriting are just a small component of your child's overall written skills, so let's not get too focused on them. Another thing that we should point out is that your child needs to read. Written skills are easier to teach once your child is reading fairly well. So initially, put your time into the reading, not the writing. Another thing to keep in mind with spelling is that your child can't spell words that they can't read. You and we can't go and get a medical textbook full of words that we don't understand and just start spelling those words correctly. We can hardly read those words. So there's no purpose in trying to get your child to spell words they can barely read. For a child who has dyslexia, the words are doing funny things on the page often. The words might be disappearing or the words might be moving around on the page. So there's three ways we can learn. We can learn through our eyes, through our ears, or through our hands. And your child wants to bypass learning through their eyes to hopefully learn through their ears or through their hands. That means we want to have lots of activities that are hands-on or that involve your child hearing things. An example of a child learning to spell through their ears would be having the child read the letters out to themselves. So if they're reading out the word hippopotamus, to read out H-I-P-P-O, as they're doing that, they're hearing the sound. An example of a child learning with their hands would be, say, if you've got a young child and you're getting them to write on concrete with chalk, they're using their hands, or getting the child to draw the letters in sand. That can be really useful. So for a child who's suffering from dyslexia, you want to bypass learning through the eyes as much as you can, and you want to have the child learning through their ears or through their hands. Now here's a big one. Wherever possible, have your child writing on coloured, lined paper. We know from previous videos that you don't want your child reading from white paper because when you've got black text on white paper, the white background's trying to overpower the black text, so the child's really struggling to see that text. Well, when they go to do writing, it's the same situation. So wherever possible, get a coloured background for their written work. It may mean that you need to get some coloured paper and rule some lines on it, because it's very difficult to buy coloured paper with lines ruled on it. But it's not exactly hard to get coloured paper, rule lines on it, and then photocopy a heap more of it. And if you haven't seen the previous videos about using different coloured paper, go and have a look at them after you see this one. Another good tip is to have your child writing on every second line. Now, what that means is that as they're writing, they're going to be spacing out their words. And that means that as they reread their words, if the words are moving, they're not going to bump into each other. Another good reason to have your child writing on every second line is that your child is probably already very painfully aware that their friends can write much faster than they can. So by writing on every second line, it creates the appearance that they've written a lot more than they have. They haven't written any more, but they feel like they have, which is really encouraging for the child. When you're helping your child with their work and you're writing alongside them, it's a good idea for you as an adult to use different coloured pens on different lines. So let's imagine you're writing 3 lines out. As an adult, you sit beside them, you might write the first line in black pen, the second line in green, the third line in red. And what that means is when the child's reading over that work, if the words are moving and the lines are bumping into each other, the child can still follow which line they're supposed to be reading on by the colour. It also helps because when your child is reading from the top line down to the second line, they get to the end of the first line and they know what colour to look for their second line. The other good thing about writing in colour is that colour is fun. Kids love colour. Why do you think they colour in? It's great fun, it's motivating. So you can even get your own child writing in coloured pens and coloured pencils at home. Now here's another idea, and you need to chat with your child about this and experiment a bit. For some children, writing in a slightly larger font helps them. So rather than writing in really small writing, just by writing a little bit larger, they can reread their work more easily. The downside of this is that when the child is writing in a larger font, it actually slows them down. So it's not very useful for things like note-taking or other activities where the child's just trying to write as quickly as they can. It's more likely to be useful for a younger child who's just trying to get the hang of reading and writing and making life easier for themselves. Well, I hope this video has helped you get your head around what most children who have dyslexia need a hand with their writing. Now, the next step is to go and check out the videos that are aimed at your child's age group.